Hi everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to another video of Glameres Gems. So if you're tuning into this video, I just want to let you know I'm going to be sharing my labor and delivery story. As you can tell, the baby is out, so I definitely want to share that with you guys, so just stay tuned. So just to pretty much jump into the video, on April 2nd, I had a healthy baby girl born at 12:27 p.m. and she was 6 pounds 12 ounces. Her name is Savannah Chanel Jones, and I'm so blessed and happy to have her. But I want to definitely share my labor and delivery story with you all, because I know in previous videos I've been sharing just my pregnancy journey, how it was a difficult journey for me with health complications. So I definitely wanted to give you the ending result of how everything played out. So April 1st, or April Fools, I worked all day, and around maybe 1:30 p.m. that day, I ate lunch. My baby was moving. She was just doing her normal thing in my belly, so I wasn't really concerned. But a few days prior, I did notice that there was some decreased fetal movement. So it was starting to concern me. And I remember my doctor mentioning to me that, you know, if you have any concern, don't call labor and delivery, which is what I was doing. I was calling them every time that I had a concern, and, you know, or if I didn't feel her move, and they would tell me, you know, just drink some cold water, wait for an hour, and then if she's not moving, come on in and we'll check you out. Well, my doctor let me know. She said, I don't want you to do that anymore. You're towards the end. If it's anything, I don't care if you go 1,000,000 times, go to the ER and let them check you out. So on April 1st, this particular day, 1:30 she moved, as I mentioned, but that was because I ate food. So I finished working, I got off around 4 p.m. and I hadn't felt her move that much. It was starting to worry me. So I got home, laid down, I laid on one side, which generally helps them to start moving. I laid on the other side. I did not feel her moving. So I told my husband, I said, I'm just gonna go to OB assessment, get them check me out, see what's happening. Well, long story short, I get up there. As soon as they get me checked into my room, they strap me up to monitor, you know, her heartbeat and all of that. The baby starts moving frequently. So I'm like, really? You're gonna go ahead and just start just like that? So anyway, I was ready to go at that point because I got what I needed. Well, my blood pressure was to the roof. Now, I want to pause here because, as I mentioned before in a previous video, I suffered from hypertension or high blood pressure during my pregnancy. So when you get towards the ending your third trimester, you know, the very end of it, preeclampsia is something that you're at risk for. And if you want more information around that, definitely check out my gestational diabetes video that I've already filmed, and I have more information about that. But it's a higher risk for you to get it towards the end of your pregnancy. So little did I know I was suffering from preeclampsia, which causes decreased fetal movement. So I didn't realize that the decreased fetal movement wasn't a figment of my imagination. It was because I was dealing with preeclampsia and had no idea that it had came back. So whenever they strapped me up, she moved and she was doing fine, but my blood pressure was to the roof and they did not want to discharge me. And that was a battle because I just was not in the mood. In my mind, I was ready to go. And it was just a terrible, terrible thing because I'm arguing with doctors about my pressure. And it was mainly because the cuff that they used on me, generally for me, because I was plus size, well, I'm still plus size, but I prefer a manual cuff because it just, to me, gives a more accurate read than the electronic cuff. And sometimes when you have a blood pressure cuff on your arm that's too small, it can, in fact, give you an inaccurate read. But what they were doing with me was monitoring my blood pressure every 45 minutes to an hour. So the more reads they got that were really high and elevated, they was like, look, this is a serious situation. You know, you have this baby, you're full term. I was 37 weeks and 5 days, so I was technically full term at that time. And they said, you're already high risk. We need to keep you here overnight so we can monitor your blood pressure. So that's what they did. So my husband came up, we spent the night together. And then the next day, which was April 2nd, and I'm gonna pause too, because I wanna let y'all know, I had a scheduled C-section for April the 11th, which was the next week. So I knew that I was getting a C-section either way, but I knew that, you know, that was the only option I had available to get another C-section, because I had one with my first pregnancy that was just high risk as well. And that is a whole nother video. If y'all want to know about my first labor and delivery story, definitely leave a comment down below and I'd be happy to share that with you. But I don't want to get too far off track with that. But next morning, which is April 2nd at 8 a.m., my doctors finally got to the hospital because they wasn't on call this particular night. And she came in and she said, look, your blood pressure has been to the roof. We've already prepped you and prepared you for this point. You have preeclampsia. We need to go in today and get your baby out. So now I have a whole whirlwind of emotions, mixed emotions, because I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I wasn't ready for this. You know, I wanted to have her next week when we planned, and this was just a minor checkup. I wasn't supposed to come in here and, you know, have my baby the next day. I mean, it was really crazy, but it's amazing how your intuition and your mind and your body can give you signals on what it is that you need to do. Had I not listened to my body or listened to my doctor's advice around just going in when something doesn't feel right, I could have possibly lost my baby or lost my life. Because when you have preeclampsia, your blood pressure's to the roof. You're at risk for stroking out. You're also at risk for your baby not getting, you know, all of the nutrients and things that it needs, or enough blood pumping to your baby, where your baby can, you know, pretty much die. Or, you know, I hate to be so harsh and brutal with the words that I'm using, but I just want to share the importance of how you need to listen to your doctors and you need to listen to your body, because your baby, you can tell you have this baby in your body for 40 weeks, you know, or 38 to 40 weeks. So you can tell when your baby is moving and when it's normal activity. So if you feel any changes or anything like that, pay attention. Go to the hospital. You're not gonna, you know, be in any worse position going. You know, if you go and everything's fine, then you have a peace of mind and you're like, okay, my baby's fine, I'm fine, I can go home, I can sleep, you know. But in my situation, if I didn't go, it could have been a really, really bad situation. And who wants to go through being excited, dealing with all of the physical changes, hormones, emotions that your body goes throughout pregnancy, towards the end having to deal with possibly losing your baby at the very end when you're supposed to be getting ready to bring them home and celebrate. So I'm just so grateful and blessed that I followed my doctor's advice. I went in, because it could have been a completely different situation for me. So 8 a.m. they came in, said we were delivering that day. I was scared. I was thinking about my son. He's 10. As I've mentioned before, my pregnancies were 10 years apart. So I was just thinking about, like, today is the day my life is changing forever. Like, it's no going back. You know, I had a lot of anxiety because with my first pregnancy with my son, I had an emergency C-section. So I went in with the mindset of, you know, I'm going to be pushing this baby out like every other woman. And then things went left, and then I ended up having a C-section emergency. But when you have a planned, scheduled C-section, like knowing, like, I'm going in for this surgery, and, you know, it's just, for me, just knowing I was going in for the surgery versus it being emergency, I think that freaked me out a little bit too, because, you know, I was aware of everything that was going on in that moment. But I tried to have positive thoughts, you know, and I just kept on thinking about, I'm going to meet my baby today, you know. So, yeah, we went back there. They went ahead and prepped me around maybe 11:45 to get the anesthesiologist in there to give me my epidural. And I panicked a little bit because they have this big mirror above you on your bed, And I guess it's like a lighting as well, but you can see your body up there. And when I saw my body was just so lifeless, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. And the anesthesiologist talked with me really good, and she was like, my role in the OR is to make sure that you are okay. That's the only job that I have while I'm in here. You're gonna be fine. Don't panic. We're gonna get your baby out. Everything's gonna be okay. And I remember whenever you go in for surgery for your anesthesia, they never let your spouse in there with you. They can only come in after. So at this time, you know, my husband is pretty much getting ready to get prepped and, you know, come in shortly. And my doctor was running a little late, so she wasn't there yet. So I was just freaking out. And I never forget when my husband came in, he held my hand, and I was panicking a little bit. I was thinking about my son and, you know, just like how our lives are going to change. And I just remember my husband looked at me in my eyes. He held my hand. He said, look, we've been through this before. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to go ahead and have this baby, meet our daughter today, and everything is going to be fine. And I don't know, it's just like a sense of peace came over me when he said that to me. And I mean, in literally less than 20 minutes or so, they told him to stand up. And when he stood up, he could look over. And it was such a special and beautiful moment. And I hate I couldn't capture that because I wanted to show y'all that. But it was such a beautiful moment because he started to cry and I cried. And it was like as soon as I heard her screaming, like it was such a beautiful, beautiful experience. And we were able to be very present in all of that. Because with my first son, it was just a traumatic experience with him. He's fine. He's 10. He's a bouncing boy, very busy. But we had a lot of trauma with his delivery. So for our daughter, we were able to really experience it how it's supposed to be, you know, where it's no complication. Like we had some complications with, you know, my blood pressure and all of that. But as far as the delivery is concerned, it was perfect. It was complete bliss, you know. So, yeah, it's just perfect. You know, she's my perfect little baby. It's so funny because she looks just like my son. I mean, I almost feel like I gave birth to the same baby. They even have, like, my son has dimples in both of his cheeks. And I mean, she has dimples in both of her cheeks. And I mean, it's so crazy. Their hair is the same way. I mean, it's crazy. He was bigger than her, but other than that, I mean, it was perfect. So if you all just stay tuned, I'm gonna bring her in so you can see my baby girl. And yeah, so before I bring her in, I want to share, you know, I know this is just labor and delivery, and maybe I can do another video on postpartum, because I think it's important to have dialogue around what we as women experience through postpartum as well. So I'm going to do a video on that just to share, you know, some of the things, because today I'm 3 weeks postpartum. So today is April 22nd. So I definitely want to share a lot of what I've been doing and going through with that. And it's been great so far. I am exclusively breastfeeding, and that has been a good experience. It has some things that I want to share with you or get a lot of feedback on as well. But yeah, just stay tuned for my baby girl, and I will be happy for her to. Okay. So thank you everyone so much for tuning in. So as I mentioned, I wanted to share my baby girl with you, and she is just getting up from a nap and is very fussy right now because she does not like to miss a meal. And as I mentioned, she is primarily breastfed, so I'm going to feed her shortly, but I definitely wanted to come on and just show you all my precious little bundle. So again, her name is Savannah Chanel Jones, born April 2nd, weighing in at 6 pounds, 12 ounces, 18 inches long. And she's such a precious baby. She generally sleeps, excuse you. And I don't know what's up with these 2019 babies. They are very advanced, because when I tell you, some of the things that she's trying to do now. And she's only 3 weeks, I'm only 3 weeks postpartum, but some of the things she's trying to do now, like sitting her head up on her own and, you know, well, not trying to roll over, but definitely trying to show her a little bit of independence. It's really amazing to me. But she definitely has a mind of her own, and knows what she wants. So I think that that's going to be her personality, because even how she's managing her days now, she definitely knows when she wants to eat, and she's not going to sit around and wait for me or anybody else to feed her. She's going to get her food when she wants it. And what's really neat is right now her eyes are like a bluish gray. I'm so sorry, mommy's just talking so much and you ready to eat. But her eyes are a bluish gray right now, which is how my husband started, and then his turned to hazel where they're green and they change colors. So I'm thinking maybe around 6 more weeks or so we'll see the true color of her eyes. But as you can tell how she is turning her head to the side, she's definitely ready to eat. So we're gonna say bye-bye, YouTube. We'll see you in the next video. But definitely give this video a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell. That way you're notified every time I post a new video. And definitely leave comments down below sharing your labor and delivery story. I'd be happy to know how that worked out for you all. And as for me, I'm going to go ahead and feed little Miss Savannah before she goes off on me, because she is ready to eat. And I do not want to keep her waiting. But thank you all so much for tuning into this video, and I will see you all in the next clip. Bye.